Morning, brothers and sisters in Christ. It is very easy for me to give this greeting having followed Esther, because the things that I want to say, she has done them much better than I would want to say. I'll make 2 points, and then I'll tell a story, a Jean Denham story, which indicates the kind of effect that we can have when we deal with students. I want to remind us that as a people of God, being in church is the place that we go to be prepared to go to minister in the world. And I'm very involved in my church. I think I lead in my church, and I'm not saying anything against churches. But sometimes we give the impression that our ministry is inside the church alone, and that is not true. The fact is, where we are as teachers in the schools is a more important ministry than church alone. And I understand church does things in terms of the poor and in communities and those other areas. I'm not saying that that is not so, but primarily we need to be fortified within the church to do work outside of the church. So that's an important factor in terms of what we do. The second point I want to make is that I'm of the generation when I was in school in the 1970s. I won't say if it was a little bit after Esther, because with all of this gray hair, I don't want to embarrass her too much. We had a lot of communists and socialists in schools, and they made no excuse about what they stood for and tried to influence people for their political views. We have that opportunity now, and there are other persons with other views in school, and that is the burden that we have to influence persons in school. So those are the 2 things I want to say. And now the Jean Denham story. I met Jean as a student, but I also served as camps committee chairman served in camps between 1986 and when she passed in 1996, and after that, and as camps committee chairman also. And we were amazed at the fact that Jean, who we thought was an older person, she was in her 40s, we were in our 20s, really always had new ideas. One of the things that she did was that there were a group of young persons from Mona Baptist had a ministry to an inner city community nearby, and they brought persons from that inner city community into our ICF camps. I was in charge of discipline in the camp as adjutant, and it was difficult. These guys came from the same community, guys and girls. They were rough. You had to spend your time disciplining them and following them up and doing all these kinds of things. As camps committee chairman and the person in charge of discipline, I sat Jean down and I said, we really need to find a way not to carry these people there, because we had our nice Christian ISCFers and we weren't spending enough time on them because of that. And she got quiet and sat me down and had a very nice talk to me, indicating that she was not going to be moving about that. Jean died, as you heard, in 1996. This is 2004. Some of you know that I work in the courts. I'm trying a case and which has taken a very long time. And one of the witnesses comes. He is the person in charge of an insurance, with an insurance company, an executive in the insurance company who walks in to give evidence, and I see him for the first time. He's one of the boys from that community. That community was, it's a community where some of them were involved in a gentleman who was known as Dog Paw, and involved in several things there. Some of those guys died by the gun. Some of those guys went into other places. This guy came out of that community. He and his brother and some others he's telling me about. They came out of that community. They found good jobs. I met one of them one day. He was a soldier at Monique. And they keep on coming to me and saying to me how much how much I affected their lives. Me, the person who wanted to get rid of them, right? How I affected their lives because we treated them that way. And this now, what is it, 30 odd years, almost 30 years later, the influence that Gene had in relation to those young men, the opportunity that I had to reach out to them has made a difference. And these guys are in church, and some of them making a difference there. This is the kind of opportunity that you have as teachers. I got a glimpse of it by spending some time with camps with these persons, but you have the life opportunities there to change lives in this way. That is why we do this work, because we have the opportunity to form young lives, to change people in a way that nobody else has. So, that's God's work, and those are my few words.